Hello and welcome back. Day 2, the Core Network's annual virtual conference. Hope that you enjoyed the day yesterday, and I hope that you are ready for a packed day. It's all about core members today. It's all about your core members and what they do and who they are, and we are excited to have you with us today. You know, another thing I was thinking about, this is all about the Girls Month. I do think that this is Women's History Month, and we know that Beyonce won her 29th Grammy the other day, but also wanted to point out to you that America now has the first Native American woman as the Secretary of Department of Interior, and I'm sure many of us will be working very closely with Secretary Holland, and congratulations to Madam Secretary. Also want to ask you, get out your cell phones again. You know how I am, and you know what I'd like to ask you to do. Well, this time I forgot to do this yesterday, and had we been in person, I would have asked you to have taken a selfie of the folks that are at your table. Well, okay, I know we can't do that quite this year like that, but you can still take a selfie and post it. I think you can see the ticker at the bottom. Post it in Room Raiders. There's some great photos of your animals, but how about posting a picture with you and your animals together? Please give us your post pictures, put them in Room Raiders on the Hoover platform, which is where the registration is. Also, don't forget, you can tweet, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those social media platforms to let folks know that the Core Network is still doing a conference this year. Anyway, it is with great excitement that I'd like to welcome you again to today's session, which is the Corpsmember Perspective in a New Era. Early and each year, we set out, when we plan the conference, we ask the question of ourselves, two things. First, how can we use the space to build a sense of community among cores? And second, how can we uplift stories and expertise of cores and the strength that they're looking for in their programming? Well, today's plenary is our best opportunity at doing both. Through the stories of our core members, we are reminded of a shared passion and unities of cores of all types. And through their expertise, we are given our marching orders to do better by the young people that we serve. Every year, cores engage upwards of 23,000 young adults, each of whom enters the program with a unique set of past experiences and dreams of the future. Today, we will hear from 4 of those young people who have shown a pronounced capacity for leadership and creativity during their terms of service. The 2020 class of core members taught us something special by striving for a better future for themselves, their loved ones, and for their communities. As we hear from our panel, I want us to hold space for those some 20,000 plus core members across the nation that will not get a chance to speak before you today. Take the time to both learn and hear from the young leaders that will be before you today. As we engage your core members in the process of designing, implementing, and improving programming and improving their lives. For example, in the Moving Forward initiative, the Liberation and Leadership Workshop, trainers do not enter the conversation with a roadmap or a model, but with just 2 simple questions. What does liberation mean to you? And how would you like to get to that place? And the third question is, how can we support you to get through on your journey? Each experience is youth designed and adult supported because liberation is something that comes from within. And in that spirit, we hope that you will listen intently of the lessons from the core members and share with them and thinking about how creativity and the voice that core members do have. Before we begin, with the core member panel. I would like to introduce you to Estefany Gonzalez Ramos. A native of Puerto Rico, Estefany joined American Conservation Experience while in high school. Though she was shy when she first enrolled, she developed confidence in her abilities and inspired her crew members with her infectious work ethic. While serving 3 AmeriCorps terms at the El Yunque National Forest, she and her Corps members played a critical role in helping to reopen, recreate recreation centers that had been damaged by Hurricanes Maria and Irma. Estefany's hard work and technical abilities did not go unnoticed. She currently works for the U.S. Forest Service as a labor leader in El Yunque National Operations Division. In this role, she leads the crews up to 8 of U.S. Forest Service employees in trail maintenance, construction, recreational site improvement. Estefany is seen as a role model for other young adults in the community. Please join me in congratulating Corps Member of the Year, Estefany Gonzalez Ramos.
Buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Estefany González Ramos. Por medio de esta presentación quiero contarles un poco sobre mí. Por 2 años trabajé con el grupo de American Conservation Experience en el bosque nacional El Yunque. Trabajando con ellos fui parte de un grupo de jóvenes que nos encargábamos en el mantenimiento y reparaciones de veredas y áreas recreativas en el bosque. Trabajamos en las veredas del Yunque después de los huracanes Irma y María. La mayoría de las veredas quedaron muy afectadas, pero poco a poco fuimos abriéndolas. Muchas son veredas históricas construidas en los 1930 por los CCC, Cuerpo de Conservación Civil, lo cual hacen que las veredas sean importantes para la historia y cultura del bosque. También, al ser histórica, hace que el mantenimiento sea diferente. Durante esos 2 años, con mucho esfuerzo, abrimos las veredas de La Coca, Yunque Trail, Britton, Picachos, Caimitillos y entre otras. Luego de esos 2 años trabajando con ellos, gracias a las destrezas que aprendí y a las herramientas que obtuve, pude conseguir trabajo como labor leader en el grupo de operaciones del Servicio Forestal. Como empecé en ACE, pues pocos días después de terminar la escuela superior en el Politécnico Teresiano, en Canóvanas, comencé a trabajar con ACE. Me enteré de ACE en una entrevista de trabajo con el Servicio Forestal. Una vez pasado el proceso de entrevista y me dicen que me aceptaron en el trabajo, comencé a trabajar con ACE. Poco tiempo después me sentí muy contenta por la oportunidad de trabajar en el Yunque y un poco nerviosa, ya que iba a ser mi primer trabajo. Una vez comencé y me explicaron las tareas, me di cuenta de que no sabía utilizar las herramientas. En poco tiempo aprendí a usar las herramientas como el machete, trimmer, Polaski, palas y entre otras. De igual manera, poco a poco fui aprendiendo de técnicas de mantenimiento de vereda y la importancia de que esta esté en condiciones óptimas. También aprendí de la importancia de tener espacios seguros donde poder recrearse, hacer ejercicio, explorar, conectar con la naturaleza. Pude ver cómo los visitantes disfrutaban estas veredas y me sentía muy orgullosa de ser parte de la reconstrucción de estas veredas. ACE me retó a ser líder de un grupo de 12 jóvenes de YCC, Youth Conservation Corps. Al principio me fue un poco complicado, ya que nunca había liderado un grupo, pero tuve la oportunidad de tener como mano derecha a mi líder Alberto Rivera y el respaldo de mis compañeros de ACE. Admito que estuve un poco nerviosa y algo confundida, ya que era mi primera vez. Yo no sabía ni por dónde empezar. Yo decía, esto no puede ser cierto, esto no, a mí no me pusieron como líder. Pero tuve la enseñanza y pude poner a flote ese grupo de jóvenes. Estuvimos trabajando en las veredas de Bisley. Al principio parecía imposible y era abrumador, ya que la vereda es larga y lleva mucho tiempo cerrada, por lo cual la vegetación estaba alta y fue trabajo difícil. Fue una experiencia extraordinaria ya que pude organizar el grupo de YCC por diferentes tareas y este grupo de jóvenes trabajaron duro e hicieron el trabajo mucho más fácil. Ellos iban con la mentalidad de trabajar y dar lo mejor de ellos. Eso pues me motivó a trabajar más duro y al final pudimos completar la tarea que se nos habían asignado. Adicionalmente, trabajando con ACE tuve la oportunidad de tomar varios adiestramientos como Fire Training, Tree Claving y primeros auxilios. Ahora estoy preparándome para ser bombera forestal, que gracias a Dios lo logré, ya lo soy. También en el tiempo que estuve en ACE tuve la oportunidad de ganar varias becas de AmeriCorps. Aún no las he utilizado, pero pronto las estaré utilizando para estudiar música.
Okay, let's do something. Let's back up and punt and start over. Because unfortunately, the subtitles didn't catch up to translate for you at the same time. So we're going to do this one more time. We're going to try it again. This is the marvels of IT and technology. We can back up and punt and we can start over again. So the IT guys are getting it ready. I think they're ready now. And they are going to play the subtitles so that, because if you're like me, my Spanish is not that good. So I can't quite keep up with everything that Estefany is saying. So we'll be able to read the subtitles at the bottom of the screen. So I think they've got that queued up. So guys, are you ready? Nope. Yep, here we go. One more time. Thank you, guys.
Buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Estefany González Ramos. Por medio de esta presentación quiero contarles un poco sobre mí. Por 2 años trabajé con el grupo de American Conservation Experience en el bosque nacional El Yunque. Trabajando con ellos fui parte de un grupo de jóvenes que nos encargábamos en el mantenimiento y reparaciones de veredas y áreas recreativas en el bosque. Trabajamos en las veredas del Yunque después de los huracanes Irma y María. La mayoría de las veredas quedaron muy afectadas, pero poco a poco fuimos abriéndolas. Muchas son veredas históricas construidas en los 1930 por los CCC, Cuerpo de Conservación Civil, lo cual hacen que las veredas sean importantes para la historia y cultura del bosque. También, al ser histórica, hace que el mantenimiento sea diferente. Durante esos 2 años, con mucho esfuerzo, abrimos las veredas de La Coca, Yunquetrel, Britton, Picachos, Caimitillos y entre otras. Luego de esos 2 años trabajando con ellos, gracias a las destrezas que aprendí y a las herramientas que obtuve, pude conseguir trabajo como label leader en el grupo de operaciones del Servicio Forestal. ¿Cómo empecé en ACE? Pues pocos días después de terminar la escuela superior en el Politécnico Teresiano, en Canóvanas, comencé a trabajar con ACE. Me enteré de ACE en una entrevista de trabajo con el Servicio Forestal. Una vez pasado el proceso de entrevista y me dicen que me aceptaron en el trabajo, comencé a trabajar con ACE. Poco tiempo después me sentí muy contenta por la oportunidad de trabajar en el Yunque y un poco nerviosa, ya que iba a ser mi primer trabajo. Una vez comencé y me explicaron las tareas, me di cuenta de que no sabía utilizar las herramientas. En poco tiempo aprendí a usar las herramientas como el machete, trimmer, polaski, palas y entre otras. De igual manera, poco a poco fui aprendiendo de técnicas de mantenimiento de vereda y la importancia de que esté en condiciones óptimas. También aprendí de la importancia de tener espacios seguros donde poder recrearse, hacer ejercicio, explorar, conectar con la naturaleza. Pude ver cómo los visitantes disfrutaban estas veredas y me sentía muy orgullosa de ser parte de la reconstrucción de estas veredas. ACE me retó a ser líder de un grupo de 12 jóvenes de YCC, Youth Conservation Corps. Al principio me fue un poco complicado, ya que nunca había liderado un grupo, pero tuve la oportunidad de tener como mano derecha a mi líder Alberto Rivera y el respaldo de mis compañeros de ACE. Admito que estuve un poco nerviosa y algo confundida, ya que era mi primera vez, yo no sabía ni por dónde empezar. Yo decía, esto no puede ser cierto, esto no, a mí no me pusieron como líder. Pero tuve la enseñanza y pude poner a flote ese grupo de jóvenes. Estuvimos trabajando en la vereda de Bisley. Al principio parecía imposible y era abrumador, ya que la vereda es larga y lleva mucho tiempo cerrada, por lo cual la vegetación estaba alta y fue trabajo difícil. Fue una experiencia extraordinaria, ya que pude organizar el grupo de YCC por diferentes tareas y este grupo de jóvenes trabajaron duro e hicieron el trabajo mucho más fácil. Ellos iban con la mentalidad de trabajar y dar lo mejor de ellos. Eso pues me motivó a trabajar más duro y al final pudimos completar la tarea que se nos habían asignado. Adicionalmente, trabajando con ACE tuve la oportunidad de tomar varios adiestramientos como Fire Training, Tree Claving y primeros auxilios. Ahora estoy preparándome para ser bombera forestal, que gracias a Dios lo logré, ya lo soy. También en el tiempo que estuve en ACE tuve la oportunidad de ganar varias becas de AmeriCorps. Aún no las he utilizado, pero pronto las estaré utilizando para estudiar música. Y aparte de eso, tengo planificado alistarme al Army. ¿Qué recomiendo para el futuro? Para el futuro recomiendo que no sea solo un trabajo de verano o de temporada. Pienso que debería ser más que eso, ya que es una buena oportunidad para seguir desarrollando jóvenes locales como profesionales para trabajar en Forest Service o entidades de conservación del ambiente y ofrecer más oportunidades de carrera en ACE mismo. Pienso que le sacarán un buen provecho a este tipo de programas, ya que es una buena oportunidad para ellos, para su futuro. Se aprende mucho, es retante y sales con buenas herramientas para conseguir trabajo muchísimo más adelante. Adicionalmente, tuve la oportunidad de hacer buenas amistades y conocer el yunque como muy pocos pueden. También debo decir que ofrecen una gran ayuda adicional con la beca de AmeriCorps que se puede utilizar para continuar el desarrollo personal. Quizás ellas pudieron decir, es que ella es muy joven para este trabajo, no creo que lo vaya a lograr, no creo que llegue a mucho, pero dijeron, vamos a darle la oportunidad, que nos demuestren lo que tienen, y gracias a eso he logrado mucho. Para mí lo que he logrado es bastante, y voy por más porque sé que puedo. Por eso digo, juventud, voy a ti, y por eso digo que la juventud es el mañana. A todos los jóvenes les digo que descubran el potencial que tienen en ellos. No puede pasar por alto la agradecida que estoy con Adam y Alberto Rivera. De verdad, gracias por todo. Gracias a ustedes estoy donde estoy y lo que he logrado. De verdad, mil gracias. Y esto es muy importante. Quiero darle las gracias al grupo de operaciones por todo. La verdad es que estoy más que agradecida con ellos por todo lo que han hecho y por lo que me han enseñado cada día. De verdad, muchas gracias. Y por último, gracias al Corps Network por esta premiación y por brindarme la oportunidad de contar mi historia y motivar a los jóvenes. Muchísimas gracias.
Yay, Estefany! We are so excited for you and congratulations on being one of the Core Network's Core Members of the Year. Sorry we had that little mix up, but we got it all corrected. We got it all done right, and we're moving forward. We're moving on. But still, congratulations again to Estefany. And now I have the great honor of introducing the chairman of the Core Network's Board of Directors. He is definitely passionate about core members and young adults in the core movement. Derrick Crandall is phenomenal. He is always on the scene, and he's always pushing us to do our very best of what we can do for you and your core and core members. So I introduce to you Chairman of our board, Derrick Crandall.
Well, thank you, Marie, and welcome everyone to the largest gathering ever of members of the Core Network. This virtual national conference is so important, as is the theme, A New Era, as we look ahead and try to make sure that the Conservation Core programs are an integral part of a better America. We're so excited about the role of the CORE's board working with staff and with members. I wanted to tell you just a little bit about what we're up to. In addition to supporting the CORE network staff, reaching out to the new Biden administration and to the Congress to look for opportunities, we're also so excited to be working closely with the CORE Council, looking at how we can increase the opportunities for COREs across this country by reducing speed bumps, opening new opportunities, by looking at stipends needed to attract CORE members, and looking at ways to ensure that CORE opportunities lead to career work. We've expanded the board. We've added new experts to help us prepare for the exciting times ahead. And we also have our first cohorts of younger board members who have CORE experience. We're so excited about what lies ahead, and what a great kickoff. The next 3 days will be wonderful. We look forward to discussions. I'm so glad that many of the CORE board of directors are participating in this session to hear great stories so we can help to make good decisions and share the CORE success stories with our own circles of influence. So on for the program. Thank you for being part of this. We look forward to what lies ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for that message, Derrick. And we are the better for having you lead the board of directors. And I'd also like to challenge the COREs and the CORE directors out there in the field to take Derrick up on his word and his challenge. If there are things that you need, please work through your CORE council representatives, which will work through the board of directors, because we know that the board, they advocate on behalf of COREs. They go to the Hill on your behalf. So you couldn't have better folks working behind the scenes to make sure that COREs are known, the work that they do, and what we continue to represent in the young people across the country. Now I have the pleasure of introducing the main event for this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming today's panel of the 2021 CORE Members of the Year. You met him yesterday, but coming to the panel first is Mr. Trevor Taylor from Southwest Conservation Corps. Joining Trevor on the panel from Power Corps in Philadelphia is Miss Destiny Lewis. And coming from San Jose Conservation Corps and Charter School is Mr. Victor Lopez. One of the things I do want to add as a side note, Estefany, who is celebrating a birthday today, could not be with us live and in person, but she does have another tape. We'll get that ready for you at the end of the panel. But she did tape some answers to some questions. And now I'd like to also introduce to you the moderator for today's panel, Mr. Jordan Chatman. Jordan is not a stranger to the CORE world. If you all remember, Jordan worked at the CORE Network staff as government relations assistant back a couple of years ago. Jordan attended Tuskegee University, graduating from there with a degree in political science. While attending Tuskegee, he participated in the HBCU initiative that was created by Greening Youth Foundation. Following that, Jordan went to DC. He became an AmeriCorps member, supported the director at the OSMRE, the Office of Surface Mining, AmeriCorps program, and he interned at the Office of the Secretary of Interior and developed a social media strategy for President Obama's Every Kid in the Park initiative. And then, as I said before, he ended up at the CORE Network, the government relations assistant. After he left Washington, D.C., Jordan returned to Alabama to Tuskegee Institute, where he was selected from over 7,500 applicants to participate in Patagonia's internship program in Ventura, California. Most recently, Jordan has transitioned into event production, where he helped produce global, corporate, nonprofit, and political events for Apple, the United Nations Climate Change Conference, and the John Ossoff Senate campaign, and the 59th presidential inauguration. So Jordan has been in a lot of places at a lot of times, but we are glad to have Jordan come join us today. And now I think we're going to see Jordan. We've got the whole gang together. There's Jordan. Before I start, I'd like to congratulate all of you on behalf of the whole entire CORE community. We're inspired for seeing you and for seeing how you can help shape the CORE experience, and excited to see what you all have next. And with all of that, I'm going to pass the mic to Jordan and say, Jordan, take it away from here.
Thank you so much, Marie. It's truly an honor to be here today. I'm super excited to be back with the CORE Network, and it's kind of, it makes me excited to be here. So excuse me if I seem a little giddy. But I want to say good afternoon to everybody who's attending today. Hello to our rock stars. Want to do a quick housekeeping moment. This is a rare opportunity to really engage with our CORE members who are on the front line, who are serving in staff capacities. So I encourage everyone to actively get involved and engage in our chat room and really ask them questions, because they're going to give you firsthand experience of what it's like, because they've had their boots on the ground. So definitely take advantage of this opportunity. And with that, I'm excited to start the conversation. It's an important one that needs to happen, and we have amazing perspectives, amazing CORE members that are going to share their perspective on what that next era of conservation corps looks like. So let's start. And I want to start with a video from Estefany. We know she can't be here today, so but she was very excited about this question. And the question is, and we're going to get a response from all of our attendees, is let's talk about your experience as a CORE member. Was it transformative? What about it was transformative? What stood out? What attracted you to it? And we're going to be able to begin with Estefany first, and she's also going to give us a response for what's next for the next generation of conservation corps.
Muy buenas tardes. Lo más transformativo que tuve fue en cómo un trabajo de verano me cambió completamente, ya que yo no sabía lo que era trabajar hasta ese entonces. Yo no me comunicaba con nadie y gracias a él pude perder la timidez. Fue una transformación personal increíble y en cómo pude lograr mucho gracias a esta compañía. Les diría que es un programa espectacular, de muy buenas oportunidades, un programa que ofrece una beca para los estudios, un programa que te ayuda a crecer personalmente, un programa que brinda una oportunidad graficantes de servicios ambientales y un programa que desarrolla jóvenes para cuidar el medio ambiente.
Thank you so much for that, Estefany. Wise words, wise words. And with that, I turn it to Trevor. Trevor, tell me about your experience, what it's been like, what was transformative about it, and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Jordan, and thank you to the CORE Network for hosting us in this panel. It's an honor to be able to speak about these things. And when I think about what was the most transformative in my experience with COREs is really finding a sense of belonging. I started my CORE experience at a pretty young age. When I was a teenager, didn't really know what I was doing. But when I did my first CORE with the Student Conservation Association, it gave me a sense of direction. It put things in perspective for me for the outdoors. And I fell back on those experiences when I was kind of deciding what direction I wanted my life to take after college. And it was because I had those formative experiences as a youth CORE member that I came back as an adult CORE member. And just finding that sense of belonging, especially in a much more remote setting. I work in Colorado now. I've worked on mountains, but we really come together as a community when we're with our crew, and we're really doing important work that lasts. So finding that sense of belonging and being able to find myself with other people in these settings is extremely transformative to me.
It's special. I love that. I love that you talk about the importance of community during that experience. Victor, Can you tell us what was transformative about the course experience for you?
Sure. The most transformative core member experience it was being able to do job training and completing my high school diploma at the charter school. It made me feel there's still a chance for me to continue being successful, but it didn't all transform. It all transformed when I joined the construction team, knowing that the fact that I was building tiny homes for homeless court members here in San Jose, it made me feel happy, and that transformed my life.
That's so special. And you mentioned something I want to revisit in terms of the educational opportunities. But before we do that, I want to let Destiny get an opportunity to talk about what was transformative for her during her experience.
So what was transformative for me during my experience as a core member? Basically, I was very shy when I first joined Power Core. I was an introvert. I didn't really talk to anybody. So what changed for me was when I was placed on a crew with Miss Tess. Once I became a member for her, I basically was forced to become more outgoing and get out of my shell. And just being in that crew culture and having a mentor like her, it was just a big transformation for me, because that's when I learned how to be more comfortable in my own skin and be comfortable working with other people.
That's so good. That's so good. Thank you for that, Destiny. I want to turn it back to Victor for a quick second. Victor, you mentioned that educational opportunity. That was something that was very important to you. Can you build on that a little bit? Is that something that should be a high priority for cores to offer to their core members during that time? And just talk about why it was important to you.
It was very important to me because at my age, I was 25. Having to find a program that was 17 to 27 was a huge blessing for me. And I was like, oh, I could still pursue my education, and it's never too late to still go to college at my age right now. And that's one of the facts that took me to that path to continue and finish my diploma while I was still doing job training.
That's good. That's so good. And did the learning always happen inside the classroom, or did it go outside? Did it carry over to the work site? And is there an advantage to that? What do you think about that?
There's an advantage to that, and because we did learn outside in the classroom and in the job site, and we would always have managers and everything, supervisors and stuff like that. But yeah, I did learn a lot.
That's good. That's so good. And learning can happen anywhere and everywhere. So it's good that you had an opportunity to take advantage of it, and then it really added to your experience.
Right.
I want to turn to Trevor now. Trevor, as a core member, as a former core member, as a staff member now, and a vocal advocate for equity and access in the core programming, talk about your experience as a core member, and then talk about your vision for an equitable and accessible core.
Gladly. So I'd like to kind of preface this conversation with just a dialogue about equity and equality. I think generally we have a pretty good grasp of equality, where we allow applicants to have an equal opportunity to apply to a program. But that doesn't necessarily set everybody up for the same level of success. And that's where equity comes in. And in my experience, even when I applied to my first adult crew and came out here, I had to buy all of the gear coming out here on my own money. And so I had to spend like half a year working and saving up so that I could have enough money to get the gear and be able to participate in this program fully. It's things like that I really think about when I'm looking at trying to create equitable programming in our cores and to help diversify and diversify not only in terms of like race or gender, but also opening up more opportunities for communities that are lower income. And more often than not, those tend to be marginalized or minority communities. And so if we really want to do programming and open up cores to those communities, this conversation around equity is really important. What is it that we need to do in order to set them up to be successful in their program? Not just allow like a blanket statement for everybody to apply and everybody to come, but how can we guarantee the success of all of our members? And a lot of that, I think, comes down to access or financial reasons, and a lot of that also comes down to like family ties, and relocating is not always an option.
So many good points, and the importance of having that community around you, and that correlation to how successful and the core members' experience is so important. I want to follow up with a question to kind of build on that idea of equity and access, because it's so important and it's been a central theme in so many conversations. And as it continues to move to the forefront, how do you recommend that partners, whether that's federal partners, whether that's core staff members, and other leaders in this space, how do you recommend that they show up to this conversation authentically, honestly, and transparently? You know, what would you share for them? What would you recommend for them?
Yeah, and that's such a great question, and that's one that I think about a lot, and I continue to think about. And I think the initial part of showing up to that conversation is recognizing where you're at and where these groups that you're trying to target or you're trying to pull from, where are they at? And so coming to the table and being able to recognize those needs right off the bat is pivotal. It's one thing to say like, oh, we have positions open, but it's if we don't have any way to support those members coming in, if we don't have any way to give those members what they need to be successful, to me, that's an ineffective strategy for trying to recruit from minority pools or recruit from a diverse pool. So I think pivotal to starting this conversation is having a conversation based off needs and having a conversation based off support. How can our partners come to us, and how do our partners show up and say like, okay, we're here to support our members. We're here to help provide what they need to be successful, and that they can really thrive in these programs.
So important. Meeting individuals where they are, and being there to support them, and essentially investing in that core member will play a long role in making sure that everyone has a successful experience. I love that. Thank you, Trevor. I want to kick it to Destiny now. We had a chance to chat before. I had a chance to chat with everybody before, and amazing individuals. They brought up some great points. And Destiny, I want to ask you, how essential, I think respect, I want to just kind of, that's going to be the center. How essential is it to lead with respect, and to show respect, not only to your peers, but also to your subordinates and to your managers and to your team? Talk about how important respect is in the core members' experience.
So during my time as a core member, I felt respected immediately when I first joined Power Core. Even though it was overwhelming, because when you first join Power Core, you just walk in and you see a sea of people. And but it's like open, it's like, I don't know how really to describe it. It's so welcoming and open. And when I first joined, when I found out who my crew leader was, Miss Tess, she always made me feel respected and appreciated. And her main goal was to always make sure that her members always felt respected and appreciated. And for example, she would always make sure that I felt assured when we were on site. She would make sure that even though there's stuff that I can work on, she's going to make sure that she tells me the good things that I'm doing, while also giving me constructive criticism, and showing that she still respects my opinions and what I'm doing. And she always makes sure, like, if we felt a certain type of way, she'll open the floor for different opinions and feedback. So when I became her assistant crew leader, I started to pay attention to her leadership style even more, just because I wanted to make sure when I got my own crew, like I do now, because I'm a crew leader, I wanted to make sure that I took the same stuff that I learned from her and implemented that with my crew, just because I want my members to have that same experience that I had when I first joined Power Corps, because Ms. Tess was a major key factor in why I stayed in Power Corps, because I really didn't like working outside at first. And just being with her, learning different things from her, and learning from a mentor like her, basically, she just helped my overall growth. And I just wanted to be like that for my members. So I also
I think we froze.
Mm.
Did we freeze for a second?
I'm
not sure. Destiny, are you still with us?
Yeah. It was frozen.
Okay, maybe that might just be my computer too. Okay. Sorry about that. You
Yeah,
can finish
I
your
was
point.
just basically just saying, like, I have like daily check-ins with my crew right now, just to see where they're at in the morning, just so they know that I respect how they're feeling, so they know that I'm hearing them and I'm listening to them and listening that, okay, well, today might not be their day, and I'll give them that space and make sure like they know that I'm still here for them to mentor them, but I'm also going to give them that space that they need. And I learned that from Ms. Tess. So it just all goes back to how it was when I was a Corps member. All the stuff that I learned that I implement now.
Amazing. There's one theme in there. There's one word that kind of I want to pull out and hear more from. Mentorship. Miss Tess was a mentor to you, and how she helped encourage you. She was present for you. She made you feel assured in a lot of situations, and how that has impacted how you now lead. Talk about the importance of mentorship in that capacity. What have you learned from that? What and what examples would you share with the broader Corps community?
Well, the importance of the mentorship, really, like I said, Power Corps, when I first came to Power Corps, I was really shy. I never had a job before Power Corps. I was a high school dropout before Power Corps. I graduated high school and I came to Power Corps. So I just didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life. My parents are a major factor in my life, and they do help me a lot, but I still needed some type of mentorship other than my parents, just because my parents tend to coddle me a little bit. And Miss Tess, she wouldn't sugarcoat anything. She would let me know, like, Destiny, like, you're messing up in this area and you need to tighten up. And just her being that mentor for me definitely changed me to be better. I feel like if Power Corps didn't focus so much on the crew leaders and how they mentor our members and stuff, then a lot of our members wouldn't succeed as much as they have been. And basically, the mentor side of Power Corps is like our main thing, and why Power Corps is so amazing, because mentor, like, the members, once they leave us, they're way better than they were when they first joined us. And they're either in a better situation than they were, or they just know that they want to do in life just because they had that mentorship, and they're figuring out, like, okay, I have this person who actually cares about me and has my best interest in heart. And a lot of our members don't have that in their personal life. So when they come to Power Corps and they have that same person that they know that is always going to be here for me no matter what, I feel like that's what definitely helped me. And that's what I make sure I do for my members. So the mentorship side of Power Corps is extremely important.
And thank you for sharing that and talking about that importance. And I think we all can kind of pull something from that and figure out how are we being present for others? How are we being mentors for others? And what example are we sharing for that next generation? So things to think about as we continue to have our conference. I want to kind of present a question to everybody. As we reflect in this current moment, it's been, what, a year now since we've been in this global health crisis, this pandemic. And so much racial, strife, economy that has just been a mess. But in the same breath, we live in an opportunity. We live in a day and time where opportunity is endless. The resources are so present, so close. They're at a fingertip, if one may say. And I want to get your thought on how are you going to be devoting your energy over the next course of the year, the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, towards building a new era in your community, in your core, and whether that's your personal community, your core community. How do you feel like you're going to share your efforts, your work, your talents to building that next era? I'll start with Trevor.
Thank you. And that's a great question. I think, as we move forward, as I'm looking towards the future and thinking about where am I going to devote my efforts, I have an amazing opportunity that I've created the first Leaders of Color crew to run out of the Los Valles office of Southwest Conservation Corps. So I have the great honor of being able to lead that first crew this summer and fall. It's an intensive affinity crew for members of the BIPOC community to come and get technical trainings in conservation and really open up those career paths for them. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. And that's just one physical manifestation of it. And in other terms, I'm really investing myself into restorative justice and trauma-informed care so that we can look ahead for programming as an organization to really give the equitable access necessary for impacted communities and broaden up those opportunities, and doing so, not just meeting physical needs or meeting access to gear, but also meeting the social emotional learning needs of our members and being able to support them in ways that Destiny is very, very good about talking.
That's so good. I encourage everyone to reach out to Trevor. He has such an amazing story about how he's pioneered such a new movement, a new core. So thank you for sharing that. Victor, how about you? How are you going to share your talents with this new era, this new movement?
Well, I took part in series of development programs through the job training program, being able to work with people like Love Jefferson as mentor from 8-1 Adventures has helped me grow my leadership skills and professional skills. Partnering with organizations like 8-1 Adventures should be replicated at other corps. And moving forward, I want to put my energy towards our educational model by becoming a mentor to other corps members and recruiting new corps members interested in pursuing higher education. My goal is to make education accessible to all. That way, we could help our kids in the future to do our homework. That's kind of where I'm going.
That's so special. You heard it here first. Other corps, if you're listening, Victor's going to be the person that's going to help you expand those educational opportunities. Thank you so much for that, Victor. Destiny, how about you?
So I plan on devoting my passion and energy to develop the position of a supportive person for parents in Power Corps. So basically, during the coronavirus, I started thinking of different ways that we can reach out to young parents in Power Corps. And I feel like if we have a supportive person that would just be designated for parents, for them to go to and be able to talk to this person if they're having childcare needs or difficulty finding childcare, like affordable childcare, women that are parents, just because a lot of young parents feel like they can't better themselves because they are parents. I almost didn't join Power Corps because of my son. I just thought that I just need to be a stay-at-home mom, and that was just like the best option for me, but it wasn't. I feel like a lot of young parents just get discouraged and they feel like they have all these obstacles just because they are young parents. But I feel like if we had that supportive person that would just be designated for parents, they'll feel like they have an extra layer of support other than just their crew leader and everything else. We already have supportive services, but they're more for everybody. I feel like if we had a supportive services person just for parents, then maybe we'll have more parents that won't fall through the cracks in the program and struggle as much. And there's also nonprofits that I would like to try to have them figure out different ways that they can join Power Corps with like their employment and stuff. But yeah, that's basically where I'm at.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for keeping that in mind and thinking about how we could support those who have children and how that impacts their success during a Corps member's term. One, this has been an amazing conversation. And as we begin to wrap it up, there's so much I think that we could reflect on and think about, these are the Corps members who are pioneering amazing, amazing programs, who want these programs to continue to grow, who want to create more access for people to benefit from these programs. I'm going to give you all an opportunity to give your final closing thought, and I prompt the question as such. What do you want someone who attended today to walk away with this conversation from? Whether it's a Corps member, a federal agency, a staff member, family and friends? What do you want them to walk away with from this conversation? Let's go back to Destiny. Yeah, let's start with you, Destiny.
Don't be afraid to plant trees. Don't be afraid of dirt. Don't be afraid of getting dirty, and just put yourself out there. I feel like if I didn't put myself out there, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
I love that. Hashtag don't be afraid of dirt, okay? Because that is powerful right there. I love that, Destiny. Trevor, what will your closing thoughts be for that?
Yeah, they're closing thoughts, but I hope that they can spark new conversations and new thoughts. But I really think that we're in a unique position, all of us are, to really not only decide who has a seat at the table, but like reshape the table. Who's present for these tables, who's present, who's involved, and that's a huge, huge thing. And I think a lot of times it can be scary and a little bit uncomfortable because we're unsure of the future. But there's so much to be discovered in that, and so I hope that everybody here can fully embrace that and try to make sure that as many people as possible have a seat at this table.
Mm-hmm. Trevor, I want to make sure you said reshape the table. Did you?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I like that. So often I feel like we hear the comment of, I want to sit at the table, or build a table if they don't have one for you. But reshaping the table, I like that approach, that perspective. Thank you for that, Victor. How about you?
Okay, my message would be take a chance of whatever's out there. If you want something or you're really right about something, you just gotta want it and fight for it. And yeah, that's pretty much.
I love it. Fight for what you want. I mean, and you got to go after it and be passionate about it. And I think we see this amongst all of you all today. There's a passion that fuels you to being better and into opening more doors. So with that, I want to say let's give all of our Corps members a round of applause today. If you can drop a clap emoji in the chat room, whatever it is, I want to make sure that we acknowledge them, because this is special what they're doing. These are the next generation of leaders that we have in front of us. And it's a special opportunity to be able to hear and share your perspective, and with the hope that we're going to build a new generation that's going to be a better generation. So again, just make sure we give everybody a round of applause today, because it's been a great conversation. I believe we're going to transition into some questions that are in the chat. Bobby, I'm not sure if we have those queued up. Okay. Here's a question that we have. Are your friends curious about your experience as a Corps member? And there's a follow-up question to that, but we can I'll pose both. Are your friends curious about your experience as a Corps member? And the second part of that question is, what needs to happen to have more of your friends follow in your footsteps and have their own Corps experience? Let's start with Victor first.
Are my friends curious about my experience as a Corps member? I could say they might.
Yeah.
they might be curious to what do I become as a crew leader in construction, and they might be curious how I'm always waking up happy to what I'm doing. And I guess I could answer the first question, but what needs to happen to have more of your friends follow your footsteps? Just by continue doing good and being grateful every day. And that way they're gonna be continuing to like trying to like copy me of what I'm doing and become what I am and follow my footsteps.
That's, I mean, be the example, set the
Be
example.
the example.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that, Victor. Destiny, are your friends curious about it?
Not so curious. Well, I guess curious. They basically asked me like, what do I do? Like, do I just plant trees? That's it. And I explained to them like it's more to Power Core than just planting trees. And once I educate them on basically what we do, and I tell them to go on the website and look deep into it, and tell them like, well, I tell them when the applications are open, and just explaining to them that if they really want a career, they can join Power Core, and if it's not for them, we also have other options after they're done. Just because I feel like a lot of my friends don't think about the future, and they just think about the now. So basically, when I educate them about Power Core and just tell them I'm only 22 and I've been in Power Core for 3 years and I make a salary. I basically just tell them like when I first joined Power Core, I didn't expect to be where I'm at right now. And I was thinking of the future, not thinking of my present. And I was just thinking about where I could be instead of where I am right now. And I just want them to have that same mindset. So I feel like if more of my friends follow my footsteps, they'll be able to be where I'm at and happy to go to work and be happy to be around the people that they're around every day and happy with their income and just financially stable. And because that's my goal, to be financially stable. And now that I am, I just want the same thing for my friends.
Oh, I love that. Inspiring others to think about the future. That's big. That's big. Trevor, how about you?
Funnily enough, all of my friends now I've met through the Corps. But when I was younger and starting, I got a lot of questions because when I was a teenager, like I would spend my summers working, and people were like, what is it that you do? Do you even do you like that you spend your summer this way? And I did. I really enjoyed the work. And so there was always a little bit of curiosity about what I do. And then when I explain what I do, people get more curious, especially now. I'm saying oh yeah, I work on mountains, building trails and stuff. They're like, what, really? And I think that's an appeal for a lot of people in and of itself, just that sort of experience. But really, I think what really pulls people and what's going to help pull more people is really offering up these career fields, showing people that there's more to do than just that single season. There are followers that there's a path afterwards. And I think that's a huge part because a lot of times when we talk of course, people think of it like a single season, whether that's a summer or summer, fall, or however long your season is for core, and then they go on with their lives. But really showing that no, there is a livelihood here, there's a career here that's really impactful, and really open up those opportunities as well.
There is. It's so much out there, and using this as a launching pad to fields, to the diversity of fields, diversity of careers in this field is special. I'm not sure if we have any more questions. We have one more. I would love to hear from Destiny if there are barriers or experience that she feels are specific to women in Corps, excuse me.
I just feel like when women join Power Core, they feel like they can't do the job because people in the work field, the work that we do, is majority men. Most of our members are men. Some cohorts we get more women. It just really depends. But I feel like a barrier could really just be that they just feel like they can't do what men can do, especially with working outside, because we're always told like, oh, that's a man's job or something like that. And when I was raised, my mom never told me like, oh, you could cut down trees for a living. Like she never. So yeah, so I just feel like a barrier is just mostly like how they think and their mindset. So I feel like it's good for women to see when they join Power Corps that there is a woman crew leader, a young Black woman crew leader, and that if I can do it, they can do it. So every time I have women in my crew, I just try to make sure that they feel empowered and feel like they can do the job, but they don't have to depend on anybody else to do the job. And they can do it themselves. And as long as they are motivated to get there, then they can do it. And I also just try to motivate all the women in Power Corps. I try to take part in the Ladies First that we have in Power Corps to make sure that all the women's voices in Power Corps are heard. I try to make sure that they advocate for themselves, because that can also be a barrier when they don't advocate for themselves. So I just learned from my own experiences from not advocating for myself when I first joined Power Corps, because I was shy and I didn't want to be outspoken. But once I became more confident in myself and learned how to advocate for myself, I just try to make sure that women do the same so they don't have too many barriers and they can actually succeed after they leave the program.
Yes, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. I love that. Hit the next question that we have is, what obstacles did, and this is for everyone, what obstacles did you and your team have to overcome, and what resources were most helpful in that journey? Let's start with Trevor.
So this is something I'm tackling right now. And again, it goes back to that access and that those accessibility of gear, accessibility of transport, accessibility of housing. And a lot of those are really big. Like my Corps in particular, we don't offer housing for our members, and that can be a huge barrier for a lot of people. And we're still looking at ways to address this. We have a relationship with the hostels in town, and they provide a discount for members who are served with our Corps, which is a wonderful thing, and we have a really good rapport with them based off that. And then looking for like gear access, we were fortunate enough to get a gear donation from UST. It's an outdooring company who makes gear, and they have offered to provide gear for our members coming into the Years of Color crew. So a lot of these obstacles come in forms of like, how can we take some of the onus off of our members for having a successful experience? And looking at resources, I think like the biggest resources there is like networking and relationships. Approaching other organizations, other companies, not in like what can you do for me, but like starting that conversation, like just having a relationship, having rapport.
Yeah.
So that then they'll be more inclined to help you, because they either like have a similar mission or a similar goal, or you have those values that align.
I love that. Kind of getting to know partners before we actually engage in a partnership. Very important, very important. Destiny, are there any obstacles you and your team have overcome, and what resources are most helpful?
Well, when we first went virtual because of the coronavirus, that was an obstacle for us, because we're so used to being in person and working outside every day to having to be at home on Zoom calls. I didn't even know what a Zoom call was before the pandemic. We had to be on Zoom every day and learning how to just see each other virtually and staying engaged and not being bored in the house for 4 months. A lot of my members started to feel discouraged. I started to feel discouraged as well. I feel like those were the toughest 4 months that I've ever experienced, only because I really hate being in the house. I hate having to just be behind the desk or anything. I like working outside. So having to be at home for 4 months instead of just thinking, oh, we're just going to be inside for 2 weeks. That was something that we had to overcome together as a group. Eventually we were able to get the hang of Zoom and get the hang of being engaged and staying engaged and trying to find stuff that will keep us motivated. Because we did realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and we're not going to be inside forever. So the resources that we used basically were, at the time I was assistant crew leader when that happened. So I had a crew leader and I made sure, his name is Mr. Seth. I made sure that I leaned on him if I needed extra support, and I made sure that I communicated with him if I felt stressed out. And I also made sure that all of our members were able to voice their opinions and how they felt, and I made sure that they were able to talk to supportive services as well, just so they can have that person that they need to vent to, since they can't see me every day. And I just also made sure that they knew that I was still a resource as well.
That's good. That's good. And I think I love that you talked about adjusting during this pandemic. I mean, it's been so hard for everybody to get used to Zoom meetings, team meetings, and figuring out how do we make sure that everyone is engaged virtually, but also considering the mental impact this has had of people who have been in homes and you know, it's just been a lot to deal with. So I love that you spoke to that. Victor, how about for you? What are some of the obstacles you've had to overcome, and what resources were really helpful in helping you overcome that?
One of the main obstacles, for example, in construction, when I wasn't sure about a certain task or about a certain job, I overcame that obstacle by asking for help. So I asking for help to my supervisor, to whoever's higher, and just telling them what to do. And that's mostly in life. It's always good to ask for help. And that's what I recommend to everybody out there who's not sure about something. Always ask for help. That could be really useful and one of the resources to be most helpful and to overcome.
That's so central. I mean, it's a simple prescription. It's just ask for help. I mean, and that's what I think this panel is here. This court. That's why we convene. Is that we're asking for help. We're trying to figure out a lot of these societal issues, these programmatic issues. What does the next generation look like? And all of you all have been help for so many people. So give yourself a pat on the back and make sure to stand proud in that moment, because you all are leaders and you all have solved very complex problems. So we thank you for that. And we thank you for being there for other core members as well. This has been such an amazing conversation, and I can take this on for a while, but I know we are sensitive to the time. So again, I want to thank everybody for being a part of this today. And before I kick it back, I just want to, thank you all personally for taking the time out of your day to share your insights and your recommendations with the attendees today. And with that, I will pass it back to Marie. Thank you.
Wow. Incredible. Amazing young people. I was taking a few notes. And don't worry, Destiny, a lot of us didn't know what a Zoom call was before last March. So you've got some great company that we've now learned how to Zoom and Teams and all those other social media platforms that we've been able to use over the course of the last year. I also like what Victor said. Victor said, take a chance on whatever it is that you want to do and do it. Thank you, Victor. We'll hear more from Victor and Destiny on tomorrow. And Trevor, he said, reshape the table. And so in my mind, when he said reshape the table, I was thinking, for those families who are small, like my family was small, there was only 5 of us. Our table didn't have to be very big. But I had a cousin that had 7 brothers and sisters. So their table was much larger than what our table was at our house. So the table had to be reshaped in order everyone could sit and have a seat at the table. Great words, great words. And then Destiny's, you've come up with a new hashtag for us. Don't be afraid of the dirt. Oh my goodness. This has been a great afternoon, fantastic plenary. And I salute you, Mr. Jordan Chatman. Thank you. You have been a fantastic moderator. All right, so hope you guys are ready. Hey, guess what? I got my chucks ready. I'm all ready to hit the ground because we have got a packed afternoon. We've got 2 different workshop blocks. And for the first time ever, we have a core member track. So there's a lot of different moving parts going on this afternoon. And then this evening, I want you to join me for date night at 6 o'clock Eastern time. We have the premiere showing of the push-outs. So, you heard Victor refer to Love Jefferson. You'll hear a lot more about Love Jefferson this evening at the film screening of the push-outs. Don't forget to post your photos on the platform in Room Raiders. And at the end of this session, I'm not for sure where it is, but there is a rate the session. So please go in and rate this plenary session. Please let us know what your thoughts are and let us know what you're thinking. And I also want to say I got a message that Wendy Weicker, where are you, Wendy? I see you out there. Guess what? You're the leader right now in the community board. So yay, Wendy. So you guys keep those posts going. Keep working that platform. Make it work. And last but not least, don't forget, you had a homework assignment from yesterday because go in and please write your vision for what in the poll, just to let us know so that on tomorrow afternoon, when we take a look at that tree, we'll see what that mind map, we'll see what that looks like. And we'll be able to put our ideals and principles and circumstances and situations together. And we'll be able to see what we need to do as we move forward in this new era. Well, that's all I got for this afternoon. Hope you all have enjoyed this. Please excuse some of the little bugs that we had to get out, but that's what happens when you do live TV. Anyway, we're glad that you could be with us. Don't forget, we'll be back at the same place, same station tomorrow. But in the meantime, join those workshops and we'll see you again tonight for the film screening. So bye-bye, guys.